I'm Jay Horton. I make movies that make money. This is how. Today I'm going to tell you how you can shoot a feature film in one day. One 12-hour day. Yes, it's possible. I've done it 3 times. Now, I'm not saying that these are particularly great movies, and I'm not suggesting that anyone should be making movies like this. I'm simply saying that if you're in a position that it has to be done, that it can be done. And it can turn out much better than you'd think. And I'm going to tell you how. While these movies certainly didn't redefine cinema, they are movies with proper coverage, lighting, locations. They had full casts, 5 or more main actor, interior locations, exterior locations. Well, the exteriors were a little limited, but there were exterior locations. See, I had worked for this particular company and I had directed over a dozen movies for them. So how did we do it? First off, we found a soundstage, a very cheap soundstage. It was basically a warehouse with no soundproofing, but it had 3 or 4 pre-built interior sets, some interior houses, and a diner if I remember right. This particular movie took place in 3 different house locations and an office. So we used the house sets and then converted the property manager's office into our office set. So we used 3 cameras and lit the stages. We'd light one side and set the cameras and do each scene 2 times all the way through. Then we'd move on to the second setup and change angles and lenses. Then we'd flip sides and do it the other way if necessary. On average, we were covering each scene 2 times and got at least 5 full pieces of coverage. Certain ops were better at fishing, so we'd usually assign one guy as the fisher. Then the other 2 ops would have set shots, a wide, a 2-shot, single, single. My background in editing and live TV directing helped out a lot here. We'd do a blocking and a camera rehearsal at the same time, and then we'd shoot. I'd say we were averaging 3 takes a scene. And the trick to this is to just keep rolling. If someone flubs, you pause, but you stay rolling, you take it back a few lines, and then you continue on. Because you keep in mind, you got 3 cameras continuously rolling, so you're always going to have a good cut. And I actually found that some of the actors really like the fluid energy that this creates. I actually, later in my career, as I was back doing, single camera shoots, I found that I would still use this same technique sometimes to keep the energy up on the set. Then once we'd finished the final setup on a scene, one of the ops would stay behind and pop inserts while the rest of the crew had moved on to light the next set. And occasionally, when we were on a more simple scene, we would just do it with 2 cameras and we'd have another op break off with certain actors and a producer, and they would go out and grab quick exterior shots throughout the day. The producer would second unit direct and they knocked the scenes out. The main thing that you need to pull something like this off, or really any quick schedule movie, is the right kind of actors. Not just good actors, but actors that understand what you're doing and can perform under that kind of time pressure with little to no rehearsal. I've seen some very good actors, name actors, crumble on these kind of sets. One actor in particular actually broke down in tears because they didn't have the time they needed to get where they needed to go. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very valid acting process, but their particular method did not lend itself to shooting a movie in one day. Now, in that particular case, I pulled the actor aside, I talked to him, and we ended up working it out and we got through the day. But if you're gonna try and knock out a movie in one day, you need actors that are gonna understand and that can handle the schedule. You need allies in this battle, because it is a battle. Stage experience is also a big plus for them. And you gotta keep this exact same thing in mind when you're crewing up. If you have a really good DP, but he can't rip out a decent setup in 30 minutes with 2 lights, you might have to look somewhere else. Doing a movie like this, there's going to be a lot of good enough compromises that have to be made. If you're not willing to make those, then definitely do not attempt to make a movie like this. In one particularly heavy month, I directed not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 feature films for them. 4 feature films in a month. We did 2 movies in one day, 1 movie in 2 days, and 1 movie in 5 days. And if I remember right, this was all back to back. I think we might have had 1 day off between the 5-day feature and the shorter ones, but we literally shot 4 movies in like 9 days. And one of those 1-day features ended up being a pretty major release. It's been on Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, video stores everywhere, and it has named talent. And while I'm not privy to the final sales numbers on that one, I'm pretty sure it did well for the producers. Let's talk for just a second about why on earth someone would shoot a movie in one day. I mean, why would you do it? See, the company I was working for, they were producing a lot of features, and they wanted to produce more features that had named talent. But they really couldn't afford their day rates past 1 or 2 days of shooting. See, a lot of companies will hire a name actor, and then they'll shoot all of that actor's scenes in a day or two, and then they'll pepper those scenes throughout the movie. But the actors are really only appearing in maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the movie. By 2014, distributors were getting very wise to this trick, and it just wasn't helping in the same way that it used to. See, for the name talent to really carry some weight, they couldn't just be in a scene or two throughout the movie. It had to be a little more than a cameo. So I was working with a producer that decided to try to do some more of these movies in just a day, so they could cast a named talent actor and then legitimately have them star in the movie, appearing in almost every scene, and still only pay them for one day. Their original idea was basically to do a filmed stage play. But then I came into the picture and thought I could deliver something a little bit better. I want to reiterate that I'm not suggesting that you should make a movie like this or that this is my preferred method of making movies. But if you find yourself in a spot and you have to do it this way, it can be done. If you're enjoying my videos, please subscribe and don't forget to hit like. And if you'd be so kind, consider supporting my Patreon, especially if you'd like to see me increase the quality and the quantity of these videos. If possible, I'd like to start uploading 3 to 4 times a week. But whatever you do, keep making movies.